Okay. Uh, hello everyone. Um, so first of all, I'd like to say that the video might be a little bit dark because I'm literally filming it in my living room here because recently there were a lot of questions related to company formation, especially after the last few videos I posted. But due to time, I could not, answer all of them. So during this live video, I'd like to, address those questions related to company formation in China. As most of you know that, Chinese, policy related to COVID is still on. So that's like zero, case policy. Basically, it means that it's very hard to travel to China, um, related to visa as well. I mean, the embassy is not issuing visas that easily compared to before COVID situation. So, but nevertheless, there are people, business people, companies as well. They are interested in entering the Chinese market. So for those people who are still, thinking to form a company here in China, there's still, there might be some possibilities, opportunities, to explore the Chinese market with their products and services. If you're interested, so once again, please go ahead and watch the last few videos I posted. Those videos basically touched all the questions related to company formation in China. But like I said, there are some people still asking some questions, so I would like to answer them one by one here. So both through email and through comments, I received many questions. So let me start. Most important, frequently asked question is registered capital. Like we mentioned in the videos several times already, registered capital is, might be something, different from your home country or from most of the developed countries during company registration, because in China, this concept exists. So what does it mean? Registered capital basically means that you show how much you are willing to invest in this business. How do you show it? Is just, you need to write it down on the application, okay? Company registration application. And this registered capital differs from place to place, from district to district. And obviously, like every city in China, every province, there are different districts, right? They are divided in so many districts. So every district, every local government, they might have their own preferences. Those preferences are basically related to the type of business you want to do. For example, let's say you want to open a restaurant, for example. So coming from that perspective, they will tell you how much you need to write as registered capital. So like I said, it's a written registered capital, okay? You just write it in your application. Usually it's between 100,000 yuan to, like, there's no limit basically, but recommended limit is around $1 million. Okay, so from 100,000 yuan, it's a little bit over than $10,000, actually close to $20,000, and it goes all the way up to $1 million. Okay, so that's the average range, so to speak. But of course, I said it's just registered. It's mentioned on the application. So what it means is basically you are not expected, or you are not required to invest that, okay, immediately. The law is very, very blur in this aspect. If you speak to Chinese corporate lawyers here, most of their opinions differ, to be honest with you, because different people interpret it differently. And plus, on top of that, even those local governments, they interpret the law differently as well. But based on our practice here, I've been here more than 10 years now. Based on the practice, you are not required to invest this registered capital. But of course, it is taken as your intention, okay, as a part of the plan when you are starting a business. It's kind of intention, okay? Government would like to know how much you are planning to invest. And usually, if you want to invest that, the time frame is the validity of your company business license in China. That is usually given for 30 years, okay, 30 years. That's a very long period. And obviously, 30 years is, more than anyone needs. So that's why if, based on the practice again, if any company would like to invest that registered capital, inject that, in reality, it usually happens, between 3 to 5 years. Okay, so they basically test the market. They see if this is what they want. If they want to continue, then I've seen from the clients they actually go ahead and invest that registered capital. Okay, now there are, of course, like we mentioned many times in the videos in this channel. If you invest that registered capital, there are advantages, okay? Because like many countries, most of the developed countries, most of the company data in China is also public, okay? It means that you can, using publicly available government sources in China, you can look up any company's registered capital and their financial status as well. And you can also find their tax returns. That this is public information. What I want to say is, if you have invested this registered capital in your company, then your potential partners in China, or your potential suppliers, even, if you want to work with established Chinese brands, factories, etc., they can easily find out about your financials. Okay, so if you have invested that registered capital, basically it means that your company is serious and you have already committed, so they take you seriously. Okay, but of course, on the other hand, if you don't like the market, you want to close the company, you want to withdraw from the Chinese market, that's also possible. We have actually, during the pandemic, my company have helped many our clients to shut down their companies. Okay, that's without any issues. Basically, they have not injected their registered capital. They didn't have any issues during company closure, during liquidation, basically. So this is about registered capital. Okay, I hope you can still understand this concept. Like I said, it might be different from most of the countries. And yeah, if you compare it to the US, Canada, UK, European countries, or even Asian countries, I know that there is one concept which is, required paid in capital in most of the countries. Okay. I mean, US, Canada, UK, this paid in capital equal to 0 or equal to $1, most of the cases, even in Hong Kong, for example. But in China, there's no paid up capital. Okay, that is equal to 0. But there is something called, like just explained, this is the registered capital concept. Okay, it is registered, and then it's taken as your intention, as your rough plan to do business in China. So another question, let's go to the second question now. The second most frequently asked question I receive is related to logistics company registration in China. Well, most of you know that it's not secret. China has a lot of wholesale markets, and plus obviously there are thousands of factories that provide different kinds of goods. So therefore, obvious reason is to start a logistics company in China has a lot of benefits, because there is provided traffic. Okay, it's like ready traffic basically. So if you know how logistics business works, and if you have some client base basically in your country, or any part of the world, starting a logistics company based in China comes with a lot of benefits. So we talked about this before, how you can start a logistics company in China, but let me briefly repeat. There are basically two ways. Okay, number one way, which is the cheaper way, let me start with that, is to just register a trading company, because if you don't know, trading company in China is the most flexible type of company, because again, unlike many countries, trading companies in China can have different diverse scope of business, including business consultancy, transportation, logistics, and of course international trading, import and export. And if you want to decide go into education, trading company, do that. So this is the best way to go. That's why we recommend you register trading company, and you don't worry about the transportation or logistics license. In the beginning, what you can do is you can start working with the local companies, local logistics companies. The only difference is obviously your trading company without the logistics license or transportation license cannot have any any transport under its name. Okay, i.e. you cannot, for example, operate any trucks here, or you cannot operate, or you cannot have your own containers, etc. So you need to sign an agreement with local company which has this license. So this way it will be cheaper to enter this logistics business. Once you expand, once your business gets bigger, we can still help you to apply for this logistics license, transportation license. Okay, but now the second option is actually, from the beginning you can start applying to that logistics or transportation license, avoiding this trading company registration. So basically your company will be from the beginning will be a transportation logistics company. But of course that is the expensive way. Why? Because if you want to start logistics company, there is minimum investment required. Okay, usually this investment is around 5 million yuan, Chinese yuan. But of course, there are ways to avoid it as well. We talked about this in different videos. The way to avoid it is actually to start a local Chinese company and then let that Chinese company own your transportation license. So this way you can avoid that required paid-in capital for logistics business. But yeah, generally speaking, it is possible. So that's why I recommend you choose the option number one. You start trading company, you test the market, you see if this is something you're looking for. You want to do this trading business in China, because I'm going to talk about some barriers here later on, but let's be honest, this is China. There are a lot of barriers. There are a lot of bureaucracy. So who enters the Chinese market, especially during pandemic, are those who are first of all maybe brave or risk takers. The second, maybe they already have established business with China. They already have a lot of client base, maybe. So those kind of companies, they want to enter the Chinese market still. So if you're one of these, you can go ahead and invest that required capital. Choose option number two. We can help you with that to register your logistics company from the get-go. But I said, depending on the region, this required capital is around 5 million yuan. Okay, but of course we have a cheaper option as well. So like I mentioned, we start with the local Chinese company. You can start with that. We can, provide you with the, silent quote unquote shareholder service, and that shareholder is a corporate shareholder in China that we have here. And with that, you can start a local Chinese, company, and let that Chinese company to own your logistics business. This way, you can avoid the required paid-in capital for your logistics business. But yeah, of course, it's slightly expensive. It's for those who are ready to invest. The next type of questions, the next category I have is obviously visa and work permit. This is a really complicated topic because especially during pandemic, visa and work permits related to your own company. This topic have been, very problematic, honestly speaking. Why? Because, first of all, lockdown. Second is government becoming very, very strict towards, companies who are issuing visas. But one reason might be, of course, China as a country whole, it's also like, developing, obviously. And obviously, number of foreigners, number of, business people operating companies and sponsoring their visas is, increasing as well. During the pandemic, yes, we've seen a lot of, expats going back to their countries, still are. But at the same time, people coming back to China is also increasing. You can look at the, numbers. You can research online. So that's why government have been slightly stricter now. So basically, when you register a company here with zero balance, if you don't invest anything, getting your work permit and work visa might be a little bit challenging compared to pre-pandemic, period. Okay, before 2020, it was relatively easier, but now it's not that easy. But nevertheless, you can still apply. But of course, government now, most of the time, maybe like 6 times out of 10, they give shorter visas. And when they issue that shorter visa, they usually tell you why, what is the reason. And that reason is usually, I can tell you, is related to the company's operation. So basically, they know that it's a new company. They might give you shorter visa and then tell you that, okay, next time when you come for extension, please bring all the operational documents, the proof, business proof of your company. And when you go for extension, actually, what they require you is they, of course, look at the number of employees you have in your company. Let's say it's 2, right? And your company is registered in Shanghai. And before they give you, they let you extend your work permit and your visa, they normally calculate the living expenses in Shanghai. So based on that, they compare your company's profits and turnover. So if the company is making enough money, first of all, to operate itself and plus to pay salary for those 2 employees, then the extension will be fine, no problem. But if they notice the company is not operating really well and not making enough money, the average salary here for foreigners, by the way, is around between 15,000 to 18,000 yuan. Okay, this is the low end. That's why, like, normal employee, not executive, just usual office worker, they receive between 15 and 18,000 yuan a month. So you can convert that based on the current conversion rates, but still, this is the average. So you need to make sure that your company is constantly making this much per employee, okay, as a salary. So like turnover should be definitely greater than that. But when we're talking about the profits, it should be at least, like for 2 employees, at least it should be 40,000 yuan, so that you can pay your employees and then there is a little bit profit left over. So if that's not the case, then it will be very, very, very challenging to have 2 employees in this company. So that's the thing about visa and work permit. But regarding the requirements of the work permit and work visa, you can go ahead and watch our previous video. There is a dedicated video for it, so I'm not going to repeat myself. And next type of questions I receive usually is about bank accounts. This question is asked by foreigners who want to actually, come to China to open a company, but they cannot at the current situation. Why? Because of the travel restrictions, or because, like I said in the beginning of the video, it's not easy to get a business visa anymore. It requires, not the government invitation like it used to be during pandemic. They canceled that, but still there's an invitation. You need to get that invitation from from a big company. Okay, now small companies, even though they can issue invitation, it's very hard to get a visa based on that. So anyway, it's not easy to get that invitation and get a visa. Okay, so what I'm saying is, this bank account question is asked by those who want to avoid personal visit to banks here. As most of you know, if you watched our videos, in order to open a corporate bank account in China, China company director need to go to the bank in person with his or her passport plus company supervisor's passport. So this is a requirement. Unfortunately, cannot be changed, and you cannot, there's no way around it. Basically, unfortunately, Chinese banks require personal visit of the director. That's it, with 2 original passports, company supervisor and his or her own. So that's the thing. Like many people ask, can we do it with power of attorney? Can I send my friend, or can I send my accountant? The answer is unfortunately no, you cannot. It cannot be done. So there are 2 options basically in this situation. Option number 1 is either to find somebody who you trust in China and who is willing to be your company director, at least temporarily. So if you have such a person, you appoint them as a temporary director, and once you get your own visa, then you can travel, and then we will help you transfer that directorship to your own name. But at least you will have an active company, okay, for the time being. Option number 2 is actually, try to come here, okay? Compared to like early COVID period, now it's relatively easier. So if you manage to, for example, if you have some suppliers in China, if you manage to convince them that you will visit their factory, etc., etc., it's better, it's recommended to get an invitation from those big factories. If this is an established factory, if they have some presence in China, okay, let's say 5-10 year presence, and they have big operations, if you get invitation from those factories, then you can apply for business visa and then come to China, open a corporate bank account. So that's the only way, okay? Of course, there are companies as well who are offering, nominee director services in China as well. In the beginning, we also offered that kind of service, but for the time being, we stopped that because too many companies we registered. That's why, so you can try to find such companies, okay? If you willing to have a nominee director, that's also an option 3 maybe. And another type of question I receive is type of company. Type of company the foreigners can register in China. Usually, again, based on practice, usually uh, foreigners are interested in registering import and export company or food and beverage. Okay, so food and beverage related to cafe, restaurant, or even import and export of food and beverage products. Usually, this is the type. But of course, on occasion, we also have clients who want to open a gym, who want to open a sports consulting company here, or there are some, especially during pandemic now, there are some companies who are offering online education services. Regarding education, I talked about in different videos, but you can still open an education company as long as this education company is not offering subjects from the school curriculum in China. Okay, because the last policy clearly says that education companies cannot get involved in curriculum topics, like especially language teaching, in English teaching, and also all the other language teachings. So you cannot offer those kind of services. But education is broad concept, right? So it can include different education. For example, drama classes, or you can offer some essay writing classes, public speaking, all that kind of or STEM courses, for example, robotics, IT, coding, etc. So all that kind of education is allowed. You can still open a sort of education company. And also recently, this is new actually, literally a couple months ago, China allowed foreigners or foreign businesses to open international travel companies. Okay, what does it mean? Before, foreign companies or foreign individuals, they could not open internationally operating travel companies in China. That was not allowed at all. But now you can, as a foreign company or as a foreign individual, you can start a company here, tourism company, okay, travel company, and you can get that license, which allows you to serve the local clients, Chinese clients, and also you can serve the foreign clients at the same time, and also sell tickets. Okay, tickets like airline tickets, train tickets, or any kind of travel is allowed now. There's no restriction at all. They lifted that restriction. So you can 100% operate as an international travel agency or company in China. This is something new that you might consider. Of course, it's kind of a strange situation because, it's not easy to travel to China, in the first place, but still, this is something new, okay, for those who want to explore the travel business in China, okay. It's worth considering, in my opinion, because slowly we can see that the situation is changing. But literally, for example, a couple of days ago, they reduced the quarantine requirements from 10 to 5 in China. And of course, the green code, it used to be in most of the buildings, it used to be 24-hour, but now they reduced to 48 hours. So things are changing. Okay, we are of course like hoping that they will lift most of the restrictions soon. And also, very interesting question recently I received is this is also very important, like operating the trading import and export company. Actually, today I spent like 40 minutes talking with someone who watched our video, and we scheduled an appointment. We have had a call through WeChat, and we discussed this, like how to actually operate your import and export company in China. And why it's important, it's because the operation, what's allowed, what's not allowed in China is slightly different from most of the common law countries, okay, including Hong Kong. If you, for example, let's imagine you have a company in Hong Kong, or you have a company in the UK, usually this company can operate pretty much freely. It can source products from anywhere. It can produce its own, products, in the place of registration, or it can decide to, produce the product elsewhere. There's no restriction at all, right? You can't even, imagine that kind of restriction, any potential restrictions. As long as you get the necessary license, you are good to go. But in China, that's not the case. In China, if you have a trading company, this trading company, although it can have import and export license, it cannot source products from outside of China. It's based on, first of all, the policy, and second of all, my very, very extensive experience here. Again, like 10 years now, okay, 10 plus years. I'm, in China and doing business. So if you register a company here, import and export, and let's say that you find a product in Turkey, okay, and you have a client somewhere in the US. Now your Chinese trading company would like to source this product in Turkey and sell it to the US client. Unfortunately, your Chinese company cannot engage in this transaction. That's it. Don't please ask me why, because this is the thing. This is the policy here, and this is the, practice shows. We've had many clients, okay, over these years, who tried to, who faced with this kind of situation. And also my own company, I have a trading company. We also tried to source products from India, for example, because of different reasons. Because although there are thousands of factories in China, sometimes due to quality or due to, better service or any other different reasons, you might want to source products from outside. Unfortunately, with a Chinese import and export company, you can't do that, because first barrier is the bank. They will stop you from that transaction. If you want to pay your supplier, let's go back to the previous example, like in Turkey. If you want to pay your supplier in Turkey, okay, where the product is located, where the company is located, right, your supplier company, the bank will stop your transaction. First of all, when you try to, pay a foreign account from a Chinese company, physical presence in the bank is also required. Okay, that's one of the huge barriers. Either yourself as a company director or someone from the company should go to the bank with the, all the company documents and stamps, irrespective of the payment amount. Okay, it can be $1,000, it can be $2,000, it can be $1 million. It doesn't matter. So when you're trying to pay outside of China, they require you to go there in person. So when you go there, and they will ask you, why are you paying, okay, to this outside abroad account, foreign account? And you will tell that, oh, I have a supplier in Turkey and I have a client in the US, but my company is in China. And this US company already paid me in China, right? You received this money, but you want to transfer it to Turkey. In this situation, unfortunately, they will stop you. They say, no, you can't do that. And you will try to question them. You will try to, okay, why, blah, blah, blah. And they say, well, this is the case. This is the policy. We can't let you do that. That's it. All right. So we faced with this several times already. However, they will let you transfer only for consultancy, not for physical products. For example, again, the same scenario, but instead of physical goods, you just find a service supplier in Turkey, okay? And your client is in the US, the same thing. The only difference is not a physical product. So in this situation, they will let you do that. You can still pay your service provider in Turkey. Maybe it's some kind of special consultancy. You are getting some sort of, I don't know, project consultancy. Okay, very expensive maybe. They will let you pay to that Turkey client, a Turkey supplier, but there is a limit. usually it's up to $50,000. If it exceeds the $50,000, the bank kindly asks you to get approval. The approval is basically you need to provide this much document. You need to basically explain why, what kind of consultancy is that, and why are you getting it from Turkey specifically. So they will ask you a bunch of questions, bunch of documents. You provide them, and then they might increase that limit. Okay, they might increase it to $100,000. So then you can go ahead and source this service from Turkey and sell it to the US. That might be allowed. Okay, I've seen it. One of our clients actually did that. They sourced the service from Hong Kong, not far. And this is also important. This is also very important. Please pay attention, because Hong Kong and China have many, many contracts in between. So what I'm saying is, if you source some consultancy from Hong Kong, it might not be as strict as compared to other countries, for example. So in our example, we use Turkey, right? So in that case, you might face, more challenges trying to convince the bank and the government, etc., to let you transfer that, to let you source that service from outside of China. Okay, so please bear that in mind. Hong Kong and China, mainland China, relationships are totally different. So most of the time, the people confuse that. Okay, well, yeah, I have a friend who, all the time transfers money from mainland to Hong Kong. Why can't we just transfer to India or some other country? They say, well, that's the thing. Mainland China and Hong Kong, they have a bunch of, bilateral agreements, okay, in trade, in other policies, etc., etc. So that might be totally different scenario, which cannot be compared easily to other countries, like, because China might not have that kind of agreements with other countries that you're talking about. So this is the thing, okay? You need to pay attention, and many people actually, do this mistake. Actually, they don't consider this situation. They obviously think that, okay, I can register my company in China, and then we can start operating just like, in any country. We can start sourcing products from anywhere in the world. We can start selling globally. Well, unfortunately, like I said, that's not the case. You need to consider this very, 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 very seriously. With one word, Chinese company, Chinese import and export company alone cannot source products from outside of China. Please note that. If you want to be able to flexible, okay, what I recommend is you start a company in Hong Kong first, and let that company be the mother company of your Chinese company. This is the common, very usual structure that we use, okay, for our clients. We register the Hong Kong company first, we make it operational, we open their bank account, and after that, we use that company as a corporate shareholder in a mainland China company. So in this scenario, you can source products under the name of your Hong Kong company from any part of the world. So you have a flexibility in Hong Kong, but of course, at the same time, you are linked to China. Okay, you can use your China company for China operations. Like, you can source from China, you can receive foreign currency in mainland China account. And of course, in China, one of the benefits I keep mentioning is when you export Chinese products using your Chinese registered company, you can claim VAT, value added tax, back from the government. This is up to 13%. Okay, that's a huge benefit, actually. Most of the clients we have and most of the trading companies I know, they only work for this profit, actually. What they do is basically they source product from factories. They don't change the price. If the factory gives them okay, $10. They don't change the price. They export it as it is. And once it's exported, they have this special invoice from the factory, and then they use that to claim that tax back up to 13%. So this is basically the usual profit of trading companies in China. Okay. So you can also do that when you register. And for your global operations, I recommend registering a company in Hong Kong. And another benefit of having a Hong Kong company as a like owner of your Chinese company is when your Chinese company has profits, you can, withdraw those profits to Hong Kong. You can claim those profits back to Hong Kong, back to the mother company. This is also a very huge benefit. Okay. Otherwise, if you are individual shareholder in your Chinese company, it will be very hard, extremely hard to withdraw the earnings. Okay, because you are individual shareholder and you want to claim those earnings back to your home country. There is a withholding tax which is 33% usually. That is very high. So let's assume that you made 100,000 profit in your Chinese company. Now, as individual shareholder, you want to get this back to your home country. Most likely, you will be paying 33% tax on that. Okay, and on top of that, actually, as individual shareholder, uh, before your Chinese company issues any dividends, the local policy requires you that you inject that registered capital. That is also part of the issue. So if your Chinese company would like to issue dividends, then you are required to inject that registered capital that we talked about in the beginning of the video. So that's why it's better to register a company in Hong Kong. Let that company be the mother company or corporate shareholder, 100% owner of your Chinese company. And then once you make any profits in your Chinese company, and you decide to withdraw that to Hong Kong, it's easy. There are many ways, except for on top of these dividends. Okay. So that's it basically. I hope I covered most of the questions. If you have any questions, the email is below this video. Okay, feel free to email, and feel free to add the number provided below this video to your Telegram, WhatsApp, WeChat. It's better to communicate like briefly with WeChat or Telegram or WhatsApp. Briefly, I'm not talking about like the whole conversation, obviously. Let us know what is the intention, what is the purpose of the conversation. If you want to seriously invest or considering to register a company in China, then of course we can exchange emails through these chat platforms. Like most common we use here WeChat, and of course Telegram and WhatsApp is also I use them. So please send briefly what is that you want to discuss, and we can exchange emails, and then we can take it from there. Or you can just directly send an email. The email address is below this video in the description box. And of course, go ahead and leave your questions in the comment section below. I go ahead, I check actually all the comments myself, and then reply them in detail. So basically, yeah, this is it. To summarize, guys, Chinese market is still attractive, it's still big, and there are many opportunities in business, in food and beverage, in of course, like consumer products, technology, etc., etc. So yeah, but of course, especially now, starting a company in China and investing in China is probably for the risk takers, and for those who have maybe established business elsewhere, or at least they have they've tested the market and they have some sort of demand for their future business. Okay, that's why I'm saying that this is what our recent experience says. Okay, it tells. Especially these 2 years now from the start of the pandemic, we like I said, we helped a lot of companies close their businesses, but at the same time, we also receive, applications for company registration. But if you look at them, 99% of them either have clients outside of China, or again, like I said, those are risk takers. They want to be part of this big market. They want to still explore because, like I said, for example, some of the industries like coffee business in China, especially in Shanghai, is constantly rising, constantly improving. There's a huge demand for coffee products, coffee beans, ground coffee, etc. And also for chocolate, like basically any type of product. If you are unique, if you position yourself correctly, there is demand here. Okay, but of course, it requires dedication. It requires hard work. It requires a lot of, you know. Lot of time. Okay, it's not fast because again, we've had clients who wanted fast results, and then they were shocked basically, because this is how it works here. Okay, it's not easy to find the taste of the local market. uh, Most of the trendy products outside of China might not, be liked, okay, or might not be preferred here. So that's why you need to, be a little bit flexible, and of course, you need to have enough time. Okay, uh, don't like just think that oh, this is a huge market, I will go there and then start selling. I'm going to earn millions. It's like one in a million. Okay, of course, there were some cases I know that, for example, working with local, you know influencers, or this social media stars, that might be the case if you have the budget, because in Shanghai, for example, those influencers, they charge a lot per video, per endorsement. Okay, so of course, if you have the budget, why not go ahead and try? But still, this market is for the risk takers. This market is for the companies or individuals who already have clients, who already tested some markets, already talked to people, and they have people interested in their service from China. Okay, that's why they relocate to China after doing that market research, after checking the initial, interest, basically. All right, so thank you guys for watching, and yeah, we don't have many people watching in the live stream right now, but this video is uploaded on the channel. Go ahead and watch, and if you have questions, contact. I'll be glad to assist. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.